So, as you all know, I'm a pretty big fan of Roblox RPG games, my favorite of which being Fantastic Frontier, which I've been a fan of since my early middle school days. Because of all the weird and mysterious enemies, incredible weapons, bizarre locations, and wacky characters found in the game, I've been keeping up with Fantastic Frontier's development for years. But despite my love for the game, it's been quite a long time since the last update, and there's only so much you can do in it before it gets boring. I tried out other RPG games on Roblox while waiting for the big update, and although a lot of them are fun, there are only a couple I find on par with Fantastic Frontier. Now, to be clear, it's actually really easy for me to find a game fun. The only RPG games I dislike are ones that involve nothing but bandit beating. Anyways, my love for Roblox RPGs like Fantastic Frontier and Lore Game caused me to create quite a decent handful of videos about them. Those videos ended up getting the attention of a Roblox user known as Ravenor, the leader of a Roblox group known as the Blackwatch Imperium. Ravenor sent me a very nice email saying how he saw some of my videos focus on Undertale and Fantastic Frontier and asked if I could make a video on his Roblox game, which he states is similar to those two games. That game was called the World Reborn RPG. I saw the email and thought, yeah, it wouldn't hurt to check it out, so I booted up Roblox and gave it a shot. Now admittedly, I don't have too much time on my hands since my life's been absolutely dominated by schoolwork and life, so I couldn't really play as much as I would have liked, but from what I've played, damn, it's a really fun Roblox game. A World Reborn is a sci-fi/fantasy RPG on the Roblox platform and is honestly a blast. The game's world is honestly really creative, the weapons and abilities are interesting, you make choices within the game that affect the story as you play it, you can pick a faction and get into massive battles, you can have, I'm pretty sure, random encounters, and you can even build a settlement. Now I recommend you give it a shot right away in order to avoid spoilers completely, but if you're not convinced and still want to watch the video, beware of some story spoilers. Anyways, I'll be diving into what the game entails, along with what I liked and what I disliked. This is a review after all. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. Before you truly set off on your journey, you have to create your character. Right off the bat, I like that you can choose your background and race. You can either be part of the Blackwatch Imperium, the sci-fi gigachads with cool armor and laser guns, or the Republic, the rebels/freedom fighters. You also got 3 different races to choose from. You got humans, a standard in every RPG game, the Nequisians, the game's token furry race, and the Sidroni, the badass rock people who can live forever, have a strict honor and war code, and have high racial tensions with the humans and furries. So obviously I chose the rock dudes. Now this isn't really a critique, but I'd like for the races to have some certain perks and flaws. Like, it'd be cool for the Sidroni to have slightly higher base stats thanks to their war-torn past, but at the cost of higher prices at stores and more human and Nequisian NPCs being hostile towards you because of the racial tensions. Anyways, you start off your journey in Crossroad Village, where you meet a large cast of interesting characters. You got Erwin, the grumpy blacksmith, Nia, the sci-fi lady who pilots a badass mech, Dylan, the reckless inventor who has massive beef with pirates, and more. Anyways, these characters are all pretty distinct and have their own little quests you can do to get to know them better. With your new friends and a grasp of how to play the game, surely nothing can go wrong. What I really find interesting is that the developers actually made the NPCs useful. Like, they actually help you during fights. The creators of this game actually do a really good job at making the world they've made feel alive. They got NPCs wandering around various areas of the world, with some different factions even engaging in combat with one another. It makes the world feel so immersive and exciting, and I wish a lot more RPGs had that. In fact, during your stay at Crossroad Village, a group of demons attack the town, and the NPCs actually take up arms and help defend their home. With your comrades by your side, there's no possible way you can... Oh. After witnessing your friends get brutally murdered, you come across these dudes in green armor who escort you to an Imperium base, and that's where your journey really begins. This is a good opening of the game. Sure, the big villain of the game destroying your starting village is kinda cliche, but it's still a really solid setup, and you spend a good chunk of time with these characters and you can actually start caring about them. Actually, one of my biggest critiques for games like Fantastic Frontier is a lack of story. Your only real overarching goal in it is to get strong and explore everywhere. Now with Revenge in your heart and an entire world to explore, you can set forth and make a name for yourself in this massive world. Now, when it comes to progression, this game follows the Skyrim leveling system, in which doing certain things with certain weapons and tools increases your skill level in wielding said tools. For example, if you use an axe to cut down a tree, your woodcutting skill goes up. Or if you use a sword to fight your enemies, your skill in swordsmanship goes up. All of these weapon proficiencies end up contributing and increasing your overall level. With each level up, you gain skill points that can be used to unlock permanent upgrades and new abilities. There's quite a large handful of different skill trees you can dive into. For my playthrough, I went into the gunslinger and machine gun skill trees. Yup, the guy with the aiming capabilities of a leather shoe went all out in the gunner classes. Now I don't know if you're able to swap out skills or respec ability points in different trees, but from what I've seen, I don't think you can. I think it'd be pretty cool to have the ability to bind certain special moves to certain keys, along with having the skills I have equipped on my GUI. Another way to level up and gain gold is to complete quests. The quests themselves are actually a cut above a lot of other ones I see in RPG games. Not only are they not boring or repetitive, but in many of the quests, you can actually make choices that impact the outcome of the quest. For example, a cook asked me to give an Imperium officer some food, and when I reached his base, I was given the choice to either hand the Imperium officer his food, or offer the food to another soldier, which I did. It was revealed that the food, despite looking good, tasted awful, so for the rest of the quest, I had to go out and make a dish for the commander myself. I genuinely don't know what would have happened if I just gave the commander the food regularly. Would I lose favor with the Imperium? Would the chef be punished? I don't know. Many of the quests in the game are categorized as loyalty quests, which impact your relationships with certain factions and people, which can change the story drastically. Now the quests themselves are really interesting, but the game bugs sometimes, causing quest arrows to not appear and events that continue a quest's progression to not activate. In order to fix this, I had to leave and rejoin the game. Now this isn't too big of a deal and fixable, but it can get annoying after a while. Another issue I do have with the game is that whenever you join the game or die, the items on your person are automatically unequipped. Now this is just a personal preference, but I'm not too big of a fan of the single weapon slot either. I know a lot of RPG games have you use one weapon at a time, but I feel like a slot for ranged and melee would be nice. Or at the very least a quick swap feature for favorite weapons like they have in Skyrim and Fallout. When it comes to weapons and items, I like the diversity in which you can obtain them. You can find them in random chests, you can kill enemies for some weapon and armor, you can craft them, and you can even gain them from completing weekly quests. Overall, A World Reborn does extremely well in creating engaging storylines and quests, something I wish a lot more RPGs on the Roblox platform did. Now, like I said before, NPCs you're allied with actually fight with you, and I've seen a lot of large battles involving NPCs fighting one another. Now, despite my love for this concept of NPCs actually being useful in fights, the AI itself is kinda clunky in battles, but I think that's more of a Roblox engine issue than a development issue. There's also a large and diverse cast of enemies you go against. You battle pirates, slimes, barbarians, a turret that's the bane of my existence, cool alien fauna, and a lot more. Now the humanoid enemies have pretty basic abilities, like the ones with weapons swing them and the ones with guns shoot, but I like what the creators tried to do with the monsters. Slimes were said to change color before they jump up and attack, which I find pretty neat and creative. When it comes to battling and combat in this game as a whole though, you're going to die. A lot. But I don't think the difficulty is that big of a deal, considering you respawn exactly where you die, and the only real consequence is losing money from what I've seen. Also, the creator recommends you bring friends along for this game, so I highly recommend you do. Combat seems overall pretty basic, with sword users having dodge rolls, parries, and their special abilities, while gun users have, well, guns. There's also magic, but I didn't really put any points into that because, gun. The only real criticism I have with the enemies is the designs and models I feel could use some polish. Unless an old school Roblox looking design was what the developers were intending, I feel like some of the enemies and structures around the map could be better. Let me just say right now, the map in this game is huge. There's just so much you can do in the game and tons of areas to explore. There's Fort Leon's, a massive stronghold that houses many Imperium soldiers. The Dunelands, the location of a massive battle going on between Imperium soldiers and barbarians. The fungi colony Phillips, home to a massive slime population and an ideal place to mine resources. The Frozen Wastes, a beautiful tundra that houses the barbarian faction, and a lot more. Each of these areas have their own quests and characters you can meet. The creators also do a great job in making each location seem unique and interesting. I feel like it should be a common practice for RPG games to make the most out of their different locations. Now, I know I've sung a lot of praise about this game, but despite me liking it a lot, I cannot deny its faults. For one, it's got a lot of bugs. Some weapon abilities freeze me in place until I unequip and re-equip them. Some of the events that progress quests often don't work. Hovering over items sometimes displays stats and sometimes they don't. Some of the animations can be a bit clunky. The music in certain areas just randomly cuts out and starts again. The bullets from the guns sometimes just fire all over the place, and a lot more. Overall, many of my issues with this game revolve around how buggy it can be, but honestly, besides all the bugs, I still find it incredibly entertaining and innovative. All the main issues I have with the game just kind of boil down to glitches and bugs, and honestly, if it was polished, I'd put this game as one of my favorite RPG games on Roblox. One of them anyway. Overall, A World Reborn was honestly a pleasant surprise, and a really good Roblox RPG game. I highly recommend all of you to check it out, because it was just a blast to play. Just be ready to tolerate a lot of different bugs. But once those bugs are fixed and the models and the environments gain some polish, I'd rank this game among my top 5 favorite Roblox RPG games. Big thanks to Ravenor for shooting me that email and asking me to play this game, because if it wasn't for him, I would have never found this truly underrated game. It kind of bums me out seeing a lot of high quality Roblox games gradually becoming irrelevant over time, and I really hope A World Reborn gains a large audience and the player base it deserves.